Hello and welcome to Painting Panzers. My name's Christian and today we're going to be taking a look at the 28mm Eureka Soviets that I teased just a few days ago, but today we're going to be taking a further look at how I paint that Amoeba Camouflage. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm pretty sure you guys would have corrected me by the time this video comes out, but it doesn't matter if I'm making a fool of myself. These figures are absolutely lovely, guys. Eureka Miniatures produce some amazing 28mm figures, World War II figures, and some unique ones as well. And these are just another set of unique Russian soldiers that have been added to their collection. So please do go show them some love if you want to get yourself some new Soviet Scouts or some other unique 28mm World War II figures. But as you can tell by some of the figures that I've shown on screen, these are Soviet Scouts and they're absolutely lovely. And today's tutorial is going to take you through not just how I paint that Russian camouflage scheme, but also how I paint the rest of the figures. So stick with me, enjoy the video, and don't forget to leave me a comment below. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. I really want to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and just this little subscription will really help go a long way to achieving that goal. All right, enough of all of that. Let's get stuck into this video. Now you can find these figures at the Eureka Miniatures website. You don't have to look far. If you scroll down just a slight bit on that front page, you can find the news release section, and on there they're promoting these Soviet Scouts. And within this article, it's going to go on about the history behind the Soviet Scouts, which is awesome. And if you scroll to the bottom, that'll link you to the models. Now the first set contains 7 figures, and they're all carrying their SMGs, and they go for around 32 Australian dollars. And then following that, we've got 3 snipers that retail for just shy of $14. So all up, you're paying around 50 Australian dollars, which is absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. So to start off with, I'm going to be painting the uniform in Russian uniform World War II. By uniform, I mean overalls. This is the Amoeba Camouflage. Now, from my research, there's 2 main base colors. It's a green and more of like a khaki color. So we're going to cover both in this tutorial. So stick with me. We'll look at that in just a moment. So we're going to be using khaki grey for that other tone. So as I said, we've got the green and the khaki. So khaki grey is what I'm going to be using. It does have a bit of like a mustardy tang to it. Oh, tang sounds like I'm eating it. Mustardy look to it. So khaki grey is probably a little bit better than just straight up khaki. And I'm going to use khaki for some of the equipment, I think. Maybe a sling or something, I'm not too sure. But we'll figure that out as I go. So once you've got your base colours down for whatever camouflage you want to go for, I'm going to be painting these boots in black. I'm not going to be painting on those blobs. I don't even know what you'd call them. Like it's almost like a Mickey Mouse pattern on the camouflage smocks. I'm just going to be painting the rest of the equipment to start off with. So German Camo medium brown is what I'll be painting the webbing in. Now if you want to skip this part and move on, you're just interested in the camo scheme, just skip it on a couple of minutes and you'll see me really get stuck into the camouflage. But for now, we're going to be focusing on how I would paint the rest of this figure. So flat earth is what I'm going to be using for the wooden aspect of his sniper rifle. And obviously any other wood. So if you had the PPSH, you could paint the stock in that colour as well, or shovel, etc. And then black grey is what I'm going to be using for the metal areas on this sniper rifle. That includes the scope. If you had obviously had any other metal areas on this particular figure, then I'd also follow it up with that one. You can see that I'm not painting any of the rest of the camouflage yet. I'm going to be moving straight in to a wash. Now bear with me, we will look at this in a very short moment on how I paint the camouflage, but for the wash I'm using no oil and technical medium at a 1:1 ratio, otherwise known as Lafmian medium. I will change that title just to make it a little bit easier for you in the future, but that 1:1 ratio is very crucial. Make sure you're following that ratio if you're going to create your own wash. So Russian uniform is what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be going over it. This is going to be a layer, and this is all I'm going to be doing. So I'm pretty much repainting the whole of this overall in this color, and I'm just leaving that original base color that's been washed in the recesses, so in the creases of those leg folds, for example. So you can see that I'm just taking my time because this is only going to be the first and only layer. That's why I'm doing it. Then on the left, you can see that I've done exactly the same thing, but I've added some German Camo beige to the mixture just to change the variety up a little bit because there's multiple figures in the pack. So with that in mind, I'm going to be using flat brown to start off with. So I'm using flat brown on the green to create these wavy looking spots, almost like Mickey Mouse ears, that don't really join each other. So use Google Images, because I'm trying to describe it, it's really difficult. Use Google Images and get an idea of the pattern. Get a really nice brush. This is a size 0 Kolinsky brush, and just take your time. Now, if you want to add a bit of variety, you could also paint those spots or those blobs or whatever you want to call them in German camo, black, brown on the green coveralls. So it's up to you what you want to do. I decided to change it up just to add in a little bit of variety in the 10 pack of figures. So now with the khaki grey uniform, we're just repeating the exact same process as what we did before. We're using khaki grey as that one and only layer, and I'm just repainting pretty much the whole coverall again, just leaving in the original base colour that's been washed in those recesses. So it should be a relatively quick process, should only take you 5 or so minutes, but yeah, this is where you really want to take your time. So for this particular coverall, I'm going to be using burnt umber, and I'm going to be repeating the process of what we've done in the green coverall. So just painting those blotches, Mickey Mouses, whatever you want to call them. It's really hard to come up with an idea. I don't know what the hell you would call these, but yeah, just try and copy the pattern for me if you can, and don't worry if you get it in the recesses. Now with those done, you can use German camo medium brown to go over the webbing and any of those sort of brown leather colours that you want. So the pistol holster is going to get a go in that colour as well. And you can see that this cover has that German camo beige mixed in as well, so it's got a nice little faded look to it. Now German camo medium brown and orange brown at a 1:1 ratio is going to be what I use to highlight this webbing, or the brown, those like brown leather items. Then for the water bottle canvas, I'm using German field grey and grey green at a 1:1 ratio. So I painted that in that German field grey, and now I'm just going over it with the same colours. Now the wood recipe remains the same, so if you've seen this on my previous videos, feel free to skip on unless you want to help me with my analytics, but we're just using that flat earth, and I'm just scratching it in. There's really not much to it. There's very minimal work required. Then I do the exact same thing, but add in a bit of orange brown at that 1:1 ratio and just start scratching in. This is going to start to give you some nice little wood grains without having to really do too much control. Just try not to go into those recesses and perhaps where the two bits of wood are clamped together by the metal clamp. Try and leave that dark if you can, as you can see in this shot. And then orange brown is what I'm going to be using to finish it off, and repeating the process, but naturally you want to start adding in a little less amount of this orange brown. You want to start with a lot of flat earth and then work your way down to a smaller amount of that really bright colour. You can see there's very little amount of paint on the tip of my brush, and I'm just scratching it in, and it's going to give you a nice wood grainy new wood look. Now repeating that process, but with your black grey for the middle areas, I'm just going to be going over all of those again. This is a really good opportunity to fix up any mistakes you might have made as well, and tidy up any little bits of wood colour that might have made it onto the metal. Now for the first layer, I'm going to use black grey and basalt grey. I'm just building up to a brighter or lighter grey colour. So we're going to start off with, and I'm just picking out those raised areas. You can see here, just picking out those raised areas. Got the raised area of the scope, sorry, not the binoculars, and the metal areas on the sniper rifle. And then finally, I'm going to be repeating that process again, but with basalt grey, and I'm just going to add in little bits of details and little lines and such. Not too crazy, not adding too much in there, just on the very outer edges of those rectangles and stuff for the metal areas on that rifle, and on the bolt mechanism, the magazine and the trigger. Now for the water bottle cap, I'm just going to use English uniform and German camo beige World War II at a 1:1 ratio. And I'm just going to add a little line on the top, and that's going to be sufficient enough to really sort that out. Now light flesh is what I'm going for with the skin. This is from AK Interactive. You can use the equivalent from Vallejo. They're all pretty much the same. I just find that I like the light flesh from AK Interactive just that little bit more. So that's why I use it. And once that's dried, you want to go and give it a wash of flesh wash. Now it's really important that you just take your time at this part because you've painted the rest of the figure, so try not to make too many mistakes where you're going to have to clean it up. Now whilst that flesh wash is drying, I'm going to add some Luftwaffe uniform World War II into the inner part of the scope to give it a nice glass reflection. And then I'm going to add some white to the mixture and make it at a 1:1 ratio and just dab in a little bit more just to give it that subtle reflector look to the scope. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. I just think it adds a nice little bit to the scope, makes it stand out a little bit more. Now with that skin, we're going to be going over it again with light flesh, and you just want to pick out the cheeks, the chin, I've already said the chin, haven't I? The nose, the hand, the fingers, all of that good stuff. Then you want to start building up into that brighter colour. So I'm going to be using light flesh and highlight flesh at a 2:1 ratio again, using AK Interactive paints, and I'm going to now pick out the nose and underneath the eye there on the cheeks. If you could see the chin, just a little bit of the chin. You wouldn't connect the cheeks and the chin though at this stage. Each individual finger was what I'd be looking at next. Perhaps where the knuckles would be and the thumb, and just scratching some detail on the top there where the thumb would be hitting the hand. And then to finish off, I'm going to be using light flesh and highlight flesh at a 1:1 ratio. Just picking out very subtle details. So just a little tiny line underneath the eye there where the sort of the bags would be. Little lines on each fingers. Yeah, you don't have to go too crazy here. And then to finish it all off, I just add in a little bit of flesh wash over the top of it. Very minute amount. Don't smother it on, just a nice little coating so it acts more as a glaze than it does a wash. And that's going to just tone that bright skin colour down just ever so slightly so it doesn't look super pale. And then you should have something that looks similar to this. Now feel free to pause it if you want to get an idea of the pattern. But yeah, I really had fun painting these. It's a pattern I've never done before. This is the first time I've painted this Russian camouflage scheme. So overall, these figures are absolutely amazing. Costa and Eureka Miniatures together are just an absolute dream team. He makes and they produce some absolute outstanding work. So massive congratulations to Eureka and Costa for giving us an awesome range of Soviet Scouts. It's an absolute honor to paint them, and I really do hope if you ever catch them at a show that you get to see them because they have been returned to Eureka Miniatures for display purposes. But yeah, absolutely loved it. It's the first time I painted this Russian scheme, and my god, it was a little bit tricky, but it wasn't the most difficult scheme, I don't think. Hopefully you agree, I've at least captured it relatively well. Let me know in the comments section if you agree with me, if you think this scheme's come out nicely and you like the models that Eureka and Costa have produced. I think they're brilliant, as I've already said a million times. Now, painting Amoeba does look very tricky on the surface, but I actually think it came out relatively easily and painted up very nicely. But I'm always open to criticism, so please do let me know if you disagree with me, but I think it came out relatively well. And it was very fun to do as well. Not too time consuming like some of those German camouflage schemes. Massive thank you, as always, goes out to my Patreons and YouTube channel members. And as always, a massive thank you goes out to my Panzer Racers. That's Patrick, Oscar, James, Panzer Jim, Colin, Lack of Foresight Gaming, Mike, Mikey, Eric, Rothgar, Jonathan, Ian and Adam. You guys are all absolute champions. Thank you so much for being those aces. Now, if you want to join the ranks of the membership program, you can do so for as little as $1 a month. It gives you access to a few cool perks, and depending on what tier you get will obviously depend on the perks. The higher the tier, the more the perks. But yeah, really would appreciate it if you are on the fence of joining and you're deciding to join, then that would be appreciated. If not, just watching the video is of huge help, so thank you so much to everyone, including the members, for being the amazing supporters that you are. Now I'm going to leave it here. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. But until then, I will catch you at the next one.